Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Soulkation Podcast. I am super excited because I have Miss Brittany Morton with us today. She's the founder and executive director of Saved in the City, which is a Christ-centered ministry for young adult women. They encourage and equip women through a safe platform to live a sold-out life for God through life groups, social outings, and community outreach. Yearly, they have the Saved in the City Conference, which is always amazing, and the Saved in the City Retreat, which is always amazing. And she also has a prayer journal that she's going to walk us through at the end of the interview. Brittany, welcome to the Soulkation Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. I was like, she has to be on the podcast because she's literally about to give y'all a whole word. I hope you all know that, okay?
Oh, I hope so. I hope I can encourage the people today.
For sure.
Yes.
So tell us about Brittany before Saved in the City, before this movement that you've created.
Oh, which version do you want?
Let's go high school, college Brittany.
Okay. Well, I think I've always been very different. I think that's one of the things that could really, all of my life, I've been very different, and I didn't understand it for a long time because, you know, when you are, of course, we're all different, but I believe that there are some people who are just unique to the world. And when you don't understand that at a young age, it can cause a lot of other things. So I tried very hard when I was growing up to fit in because people didn't understand me and how I was wired and stuff like that. And so that was a challenge for me at first, navigating through who I was trying to find myself to be and embracing. I just liked stuff differently, you know, than other people and different things like that. So, but I kind of grew into it, you know, as I got into high school. I started to discover that I was gifted in a lot of different things, and it was okay to be that way because I believe we live in a society that tells us that we can only do one thing and we can only be one thing. But I loved a lot of different things. And so I started to embrace that as I was in high school and understanding, okay, I got some influence and, you know, people follow me and I'm pretty good at some things. So I started honing in on some of my creative gifts and, you know, different things like that in high school. And then I went off to college. And I think that's when I really flourished in college. I tried a lot of stuff. I did a lot of stuff. I discovered my passions and purpose. And then from there, I went on to do a lot of the things that I do now. But it has been a journey of discovery, a journey of embracing myself, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and just coming to love who Brittany is, not just, you know, who people perceive me to be, but taking that journey to discover who I really am and to fall in love with who I really am throughout the years. So that's the short version.
I love what you just said. So while discovering who you are, figuring out how to lead other people, how is that like, how are you able to merge the two? Loving you and leading to the people that are nothing like you.
Well, I've learned through trial and error. I've made a lot of mistakes throughout the years. And I think the beautiful thing about life and the journey is that you don't know what you're doing and you have to just figure it out as you go. And I am a recovering perfectionist. I grew up, you know, like thinking everything had to be a certain way and had to look a certain way. And then, you know, I started this journey with Saved in the City and I quickly learned that, this is much bigger than you and everything's not going to go the way you thought it was going to go. And so I've just really tried to extend myself a lot of grace through this journey that I'm on and stay true, like pure in heart for what I do, but be very transparent. Like those that I lead, I try to be very open with them when I don't know what I'm doing, when I'm trying to navigate stuff. Because I used to think a great leader was somebody who had all the answers and had it figured out. And I was struggling doing that. And so I think people can relate more to just your authenticity, and they will rather follow someone who's not perfect but's real rather than someone that's putting on a mask acting like they have it all together when they don't. And so through my journey, that's what I've learned, to just be real with my process and try to be humble, you know, through it all and learn from my mistakes and keep getting back up. I feel like as a leader, you're going to fall a lot of times, whether it's in your personal things with mistakes that you make or, you know, just in leadership. Like I tell myself often, I've never done this before. I'm doing things that I've never seen anybody else do before. And with that, you have to give yourself a level of grace. This morning, I went through my journal and I was reading through like my my inner life, girl, it be like all over the place. And so I try to be real honest about like my feelings and all this stuff. So girl, I'm reading like from where I was this time last year. And last year was a really rough year for me. And although I'm not where I want to be, there's still stuff I don't have figured out. There's still stuff I don't understand. I just paused and said, you know what, Brittany, I am proud of you, because you could have, girl, I ain't gonna cry, but you could have given up. You know, you could have just died in those places. You didn't have to choose to keep living, you know, beyond heartache and beyond betrayal and beyond mistakes, but you still keep going, and you may not be where you want to be, but you're not where you could be. And so I think there are times we have to do that. We just have to pause in life and say, you know what, I'm proud of you. Like, talking to yourself, I'm proud of you that you keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so I think that's how I merge it all together, is that I just keep putting one foot in front of the other and taking it one day at a time and saying, God, your grace is sufficient, and I don't have to have it all together, but somehow, some way you use it all to get me where I need to be. And in the midst of that, I'm still able to help others. So
child, she got me over here crying, and this
girl, I'm crying too. This is real.
Podcast for 2 minutes, okay?
It's real. So yeah.
Oh my God. Everything you said. Everything. Okay. So tell us about Saved in the City. Like, how did it even get started?
Yeah, so Saved in the City, wow. Saved in the City, you know, sometimes I look back and I'm like, what is this? Like, when did this happen? Like, because I wasn't, you know, I didn't, my journey is so unique because I didn't sit down one day and say, oh, I'm going to create this nonprofit or this ministry, and we're going to do, I never did it like that. And I think God knows his daughters, he knows his children, and he knows how to deal with us, because I feel like if God would have showed me all of this, I would have never done this, like never, because sometimes I feel so incapable. You know, people look at from the outside looking in, they're like, oh my God, like I want to do this and I can't believe, but the weight, the burden, the sacrifice, the everything that comes with it, every day I have to like surrender all over again to like, my life is not my own and I'm supposed to be doing something that's bigger than myself. But Saved in the City started with just like a passion and an idea I had. I literally saw a need where I was, and I wanted to do something about that need. And so many people come and ask me like, Brittany, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I always say that your life is a solution to some need in the earth. And I just went back to work at my alma mater at Alabama A&M. I was working there. I never thought I would live back in Huntsville. I never thought I would work for my university that I graduated from. And I had recently went through a bad breakup and was going through a lot of different things in my life. But there were so many young adults and so many college students that were coming to me, just sitting in my office. And I'm like, and I'm just now kind of getting my relationship with God, so I'm like, I want to create something that we can just come and talk, because I feel like a lot of times we just need to know that we're not alone. And so I wanted to create a space where young adult women can come and feel like they wasn't alone, and we could encourage each other. But I never thought it would be like all this. That's how it started. It started upstairs from my job. Like literally I asked my boss, hey, can I do this monthly meeting upstairs in our multi-purpose room? And he said, sure. And it started from there, and the rest has been history.
So you all are in 5 cities?
Yes, but we're like in 4.5 right now. We're taking a break in 1 city, but okay. we consecutively meet in 4 cities right now. So we're in Huntsville, Alabama. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. We're in Memphis, Tennessee, and we're in Washington, D.C. Nice. Yeah, as far as life groups. So we have ladies connected from all over. So
okay, so people can come online. And
absolutely, yeah, we have our prayer call. We have like women from all over, even not only just country, but different countries call into that. We have women like to come to our retreats and conferences that are from all over. Right now we're not able to be in every city with the group, but we still have women that are very well connected that are from a lot of different places. So I'm so grateful. I'm because my life is a testimony that like God can just take a regular person that has a heart to want to help other people, and he can do some extraordinary stuff. Yeah. And that's just that. So
I'll actually put the phone number in the show notes for you all.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. We'd love to have you.
So let's talk about these challenges as a single woman. Because it's a whole new world if you're single and you're
absolutely.
Why do you think it's a common line for women to say all the good men are taken? Do you think like we're losing hope?
Oh yeah. I mean, even in my personal life, I go through seasons where I lose hope. I'm like, one season I'm like in expectation, like, oh yeah, I'm praying for my husband. I got all these scriptures written out. And then other seasons, I'm like, you know what, God, don't even worry about it. And so I think even in my own life, I think that it can be discouraging, at times, if we're just being real honest, like taking off all the filters and all that stuff, and just being real honest. I think that if you're not careful with managing your expectation and even your perspective of like everything that's going on, it's easy to lose hope. Like, God, what's really going on? So yes, I think that it's easy to lose hope if you are not careful with managing this season well.
That's so
yeah.
So people say on IG, it seems like, if you're going to get a good man or keep a good man, you need to lower your standards.
Yeah.
Into that hype.
Yeah, I think you have to, I think one thing is important, and I speak from a place of, I've done everything in relationships wrong. So I don't speak from like a place of, like expertise, but I feel like sometimes, and that's what I love about God, is that he doesn't waste any experience in your life. And so I just want to encourage that sister that's like maybe in the boat where I am, that it's like, dude, I've messed up every relationship. I didn't realize how broken I was. I didn't realize I had all these insecurities. Everything that God has even sent my way up until this point, I've mismanaged it, because I had to get to a place about 2 years ago where I had to stop pointing the finger at everybody I had dated and said, okay, Brittany, you're the only common denominator here. And that's when I decided that I was going to take my own process serious. I started going to counseling. I started trying to get to some underlying things in my own, because all of my relationships, like for the majority part, have been dysfunctional, and they have been unhealthy because I was unhealthy. And so one thing that has kept me encouraged, even in this season of my life, because I be in different places in my singleness, but instead of like thinking about what I don't have and what hasn't come to pass, it's like, Brittany, take this time. And I'm really trying to do this, because I know we hear this a lot, but I'm really trying to take this time to become whole. And I did not realize how broken, and I don't think brokenness is like a bad thing. We throw that word around so much. I don't think it's a bad thing. I actually think it's a beautiful thing, because now I'm more one with my humanity and with who I truly am and who I'm evolving to be. And I actually, the confidence that I've been looking for all of my life, I'm actually finding it in me being vulnerable enough to embrace my brokenness. And so I'm like, wow, God, I'm falling deeper in love with myself, because I'm actually putting in the work to become the woman that I need to be for my destiny, not just for marriage, but for everything and every place that God has called me to really thrive in. And so that's really like where I try to stay focused in. It's just like knowing Brittany, because what I realized last week, I said, God, I realized while a lot of stuff I put myself in hasn't worked, because I haven't truly known myself and I was not truly myself. And so I think you have to really quantify like what your standards are. And I think those need to be merged, not necessarily with like some religious jargon of, okay, well, I need to keep myself to, marriage. Like not just that, but understanding who I am, what my values are, and then starting to live a life to embody that and to discover that. And from there, because what may be for me may not be for the next sister. And so I think that's found in us really digging deep to know who we are, what we are, and what we desire for our lives. And then from there, so I think that looks different, for everybody, what I'm saying, what your standards are. I was listening to a message and the guy was speaking. He said, you need to know what your value system is. And this is not anything deep. This is, and I wrote it down in my phone, like what's important to me, right? Very, very simple things like communication. That's very important to me. And I had to qualify, like, what does that mean? Like, I value honesty and I value transparency. I value honesty that you're going to keep it real with me because I'm going to keep it real with you. But I also value transparency where I don't have to come and ask you 50 million questions, but you have a level of conviction where you're like, man, I want Brittany into this space and so I'm going to let her know where I am. Like those things are important to me, but I didn't know that. So I've been out here trying to date, but I have not even been able to give language to what's important to me. not in a high horse, well, this is who I am. If you don't have no, not that, but just what makes me come alive and what makes me feel love and what makes me feel accepted and what makes me feel valued, and then personifying that in a relationship. And so I think for single women and single men in general, I think we have to shift our perspective of where he at, where she at, but am I becoming that person? Am I doing the work that's necessary so that I'm where I need to be for every area of my life? I don't know if that helps, but I'm still trying to figure this out. So that's where I am right now. And I've grown in that from where I was a few years ago. So that makes the journey a lot more beautiful and a lot less like what's going on, if we could be real.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And there's so many leaders that listen to this podcast, people who are leading other people always. So they're beating themselves up a lot because we think that we should be a lot further than we are, especially more whole, not living inside of our brokenness, not letting procrastination become our best friend. Like we don't understand why that's something that's like keeping us bound. So could you see that, like beating ourselves up all the time?
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I can so speak to that because I've been a leader, for a long time. I thought that I was living in humility and I was really living in insecurity. And so for the first 5 to 6 years of my life, got in when I was leading my organization, awesome things are happening. And I'm thinking that, okay, people, oh, you're doing great. I'm like, okay, and it was really levels and levels of insecurity that was being masked. And I didn't realize that until I was sitting in a counseling session one day, and it just broke my heart. And so I'm sitting there and I'm talking, and it's just ugly. Like something's coming up and I'm crying and, whatever the case may be. But I learned something in that session. I told myself, I said, you know what, Brittany, you're going to make a commitment to love yourself more. Because she asked me a question and I had lied to myself before I even realized it. I had been living in like self-deception and all this stuff for so long. And I made a decision in that point of my life is that I was going to do a better job of loving myself. And I say that to say because many times we self-sabotage. Many times we're our worst critic. And I'm like, how could I commit my life to loving others, empowering others, speaking of others? And I can't even do that within myself. And so I made a commitment to myself that I was no longer going to talk down on myself. I was going to become my biggest cheerleader, that when I messed up, I was going to talk to and I literally, that's what I do now. I'm like, okay, Brittany, you got this. Okay, girl, we're going to get back up and we're going to do like simple stuff. You're going to get back up and you're going to do this again. You're going to laugh today. We're going to love today. We're going to be happy today. What makes us like, I have to develop a relationship with myself. Yes, it's important that we have a relationship with God. Yes, it's important that we have healthy relationships with friends and family, but we also have to cultivate a healthy relationship with ourselves. That means taking time for ourselves. That means having some quiet moments, throughout the day. That means not letting ourselves off the hook when something bothers us, saying, you know what? Why did that bother me? What is that triggering within myself? And understanding that our identity is not attached to, all of the what's wrong about us, right? Like our identity is fixed. And that's what I had a hard time understanding. I equated every bad thing or mistake I made to who I was. And those are two completely isolated things. Who I am and the things that have shaped and molded me and the things I'm working through are two completely different things. I am a child of God. I am who God has created me, and nothing that I do can change who I am in him. And so when I began to understand that those two things were different, I didn't like walk around so heavy all the time because I understood that my identity is fixed and I'm still walking this thing out called life, but that doesn't change who I am and my value and my worth. Nothing changes that. And so now I'm still walking through a journey of discovering that, of who I am, but that doesn't change that. So I just want to encourage somebody who's been hard on yourself, like extend grace to yourself. You are growing, you are thriving, you have survived things that if you really told your whole story, people wouldn't even believe you. You don't even look like the stuff you've been through, the nights you've cried yourself to sleep. People can't even tell. And God is going to get the glory out of it all. And so I'm walking it out in my life right now. And I encourage everyone that's listening to do the same. Give yourself tons and tons and tons of grace because that's what God has done for us.
That's so good.
Yes.
So let's pivot. For single women who are not single women, just women in general who are business owners and maybe full-time employees, and they're trying to figure out some boundaries in their business. And how can I question this? Like boundaries with how they run their business, how they spend their time in their business. What would you recommend? Some boundaries that you've had to place.
Okay, first of all, number one, you have to have boundaries, because what happens is, and I can speak from experience, the thing that you love, you will begin to resent because you do not have boundaries. At the end of last year, I hit a real interesting place, and I just had no motivation. And I'm a very passionate person. I just got like some juice that the Lord gave me that I just wake up like, hey, let's go, usually. But I was waking up every day. I had no motivation. I had no inspiration. I wanted to do nothing. And I was scared because how I'm just naturally wired. It was like gone. I had reached such a dry place. And so I was praying. I was reaching out to my friends, like, y'all pray for me. I don't know what's going on. And I finally came out of it, and I got a revelation of, you were burnt out. Like, you literally were burnt out. And I'm like, oh, I did not know, because you, not only do you love what you do, but when you are so many things to your vision or to your business or to your nonprofit, it's like, how do I take a break, And so I had to really put some things in place, because I never want to get back to that place again where I no longer want to do the stuff that I love, that I no longer can recognize myself, because I've been going and going and going, And so a few things that I did was I had to set a schedule. And it's hard for me right now because I work out of my house. So, it's not like I get to go to work and then come home and then leave that at work. Like, I literally come across the living room, and then the other side of the house is where I sleep. And so it was really hard for me to do that because I had really no work-life balance. And so I had to create a schedule, and I have my schedule up. Like, I literally had to give myself work office hours, and that has been so hard for me to keep, because I try to oh man, let me just do this one last thing, and then that last thing is an hour over. So I have to set work hours. So I come in at a certain time. I have to get off at a certain time. And being single, sometimes it tells me oh, well, you don't have nothing else to do. But it's no, that's me time. That's relationship time. That's do nothing time. That's whatever. So I'm having to reprogram myself for that, because it's well, it's just me. So let me just work. And then I can get burnt out. So that's one thing that I do. Another thing is I take a day for myself. So I have my own personal Sabbath, which sometimes is so hard. And so I try to guard that day. People, someone just sent a message hey, can we meet on that day? And I'm like, no, I actually can't meet on that day. And so that's another thing that I try to do, is just have a day where I unplug from my vision. I unplug from, thinking. And that can be hard, because when you build it, it's that's all you think about. But trying to do other things, hobbies. I just signed up for an Aqua Zumba class. I make myself go to class. That's 2 times a week. And I love it. I feel so much better afterwards. Nobody knows who I am in that class. I could just be Brittany that twerks in the pool because I like to dance. And I need that. So creating, yes, girl. I was see, I told him, I said, y'all, I can't twerk for what I do. I can't twerk anywhere else. But I can't twerk pool because can't nobody see me. So twerking is good for me still, So I think those are a few things. Setting a schedule of when you're going to work and when you're not going to work every day, and trying your best to stick to that schedule. Creating a day out of the week where you do not work, that you rest, or you binge watch something, or you go spend time with the people who give life to you, and you don't do anything. And then hobbies, having hobbies in your life of stuff you really enjoy that you do not, that has nothing to do with your building your business or your brand. I think those are a few things that I'm implementing right now that's working well for me.
That's great, because even when I'm chilling, I'm working on my laptop. You know what I'm saying?
And we can't do that. So we can't do that all the time. And we have to pace ourselves. I tell leaders all the time, and visionaries, it's when you're a visionary, it's a beautiful thing, but you have to manage it, because if you don't manage it the right way, it can be a curse. Because it's I see myself, I see my employees, I see my business here, I see me making all this money, but I'm right here. So the trick is managing this gap between not losing the vision of where you see yourself going, but at the same time managing where you are right now, and not getting frustrated in the process, and developing patience and putting systems, all of those things in place. So I always remind myself that I am building something that is going to outlive me. And because I'm building something that's going to outlive me, it's going to take time to build it, to put that foundation in place, so that people, when I'm long and gone, will still be able to, be a part of what I built. And so that always kind of puts it, in a frame of mind of me, is that I'm building something that's going to outlive me, and it's going to take time to do it, and managing that space between where I see ourselves and where we are right now. So
good. So I was going to ask you about being unplugged. So how do you stay, because you have to run a business on social media. So, social media gets in trouble. So how do you manage your time with that?
So you mean like personally, or for like the business side?
I would say both. How do you manage your time with not just turning up with staying on Instagram for 4 hours, 5 hours?
Yeah, you got to create a system. Like you really have to create like a system. I think that's what really helps you manage it. Because particularly when you are the CEO of a thing, you don't have time to just, be doing stuff. But if you're not careful, you will be on there for 4 hours. So one thing that we did was we created a system. I really had to put somebody in place to manage our social media. Now I'm still working on, like, when I give people stuff, not like, okay, what you doing? That type of thing. So I am really working on that, letting stuff go, which we probably need to talk about that. But I'm really working on letting stuff go, because when you are first doing everything, and then for your vision to keep growing, you have to release stuff. And that can be hard when you've been the one that's been doing it all, and that you need the help, but trusting the people around you to help you, and being okay when they don't do it the way you do it. So that's a whole nother thing you have to manage as you grow. But yeah, I think we create a month plan for our social media. So I take out like a day or two every month to create all of the content for our social media, so that it saves you more time in the end, where we kind of put everything in and it posts and stuff like that. So I encourage you, if you're able to do that, like get one of these software systems. I can't remember which one we use right now, but where you're able to like maybe schedule your post. I think that will really help you, particularly if you're an entrepreneur, to save time. And then you can schedule a time like, hey, I'm only going to spend 30 minutes on here a day just to get my little fix, or whatever the case may be. But you really have to manage that and put things in place so that when you're going on there to post about your business, you don't find yourself scrolling for the next hour. You have to just really create a discipline. I think creating a system helps you to do that from a business angle. Now, from my personal life, I think we spend so much time trying to make sure that everything's together for the business. I don't think I'm on my personal stuff enough. People are like, where you at? Why you ain't posted? I'm like, girl, we done spent a week trying to get everything together, for the business part of it. So, but yeah, I think that's a constant thing I personally have to manage, because being single, you're not careful, or just being a woman, comparing yourself, looking at what everybody else has going on, you just have to manage it. So there are times where I just delete the apps, just so when I find myself going to it, it ain't even there, and it makes me have to do something else. So there are times where I delete the apps so that it's not a distraction and I can get stuff done, and I'm not finding myself tempted to compare myself or feel like I'm not doing anything with my life. So
yeah. See the little cute kids with the dog and the parents be like, really? Okay. All right.
I be really. So I hope that helps somebody.
Over here. So tell us about the journal, honey. Show us the journal. Let us see it.
I had to get the journal for you guys. So this is my newest project. It's called my personal prayer journal. And I got this idea at the beginning of last year and procrastinated. Like literally when I got the idea, it only took me like 2 hours to put it together. And I sat on it for the entire year. Ridiculous. But I did. And I told myself I was not going into another year recycling goals that I just need to finish out of fear, just out of fear. I hate fear. It keeps us from doing things and finishing things. And, all this, I'm always trying to just call that fear out. Just fear of, sometimes it's fear of failure, but sometimes it's fear of success and fear of how people are going to receive stuff, and just so many different things. So I just made myself do it. I made myself put it out there. I was like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. Like, I'm just doing this for me, because I got to develop more of a practice of my personal things. When I say I'm going to do something, actually doing it. Because when you get with me with Saving the City, I kind of like push that now. And, it's like, there's so much more in you that you need to be doing. And I'm like, oh no, I'll do that later. Let me just push this. And so I've really been like challenging myself to get some of my personal things out. But it was an idea I got because my prayer life was all over the place. I feel like prayer is our secret sauce. It gives us strategy, particularly business owners. You have to make so many decisions within a day's time. And half the time, I don't know about any other people on the podcast, but it's like, okay, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And like, you don't know, because there's no blueprint for when God gives you an idea that you ain't never seen it before. You've seen versions, of course other people have a podcast, but nobody's going to have a podcast like you. So what does that look like? How do you deal with different things? And I believe it's so important that we discipline ourselves enough that although we have 50 million things on our to-do list, even as entrepreneurs and visionaries, if we can commit 15, 20, 30 minutes to just praying, we could probably get more insight, more ideas, more strategy in that time than we did with 2 weeks worth of just running around trying to figure things out. And so I wanted to create something for my own life where I organized my prayer life more, and I saw results. I'm a result-oriented person, and I also wanted to see results in my prayer life. And so once I created it for myself, I was like, I think other people are struggling with this. I said, I want to create this where people can organize their prayers. They can see how God is moving in the different areas of your life. So there are areas in here for you to pray for your business, for you to pray for your family, for you to pray for your employees, for those of us who are believing God for employees, all of those different things. And then we can go back and see when our prayers come to pass. So like even here, like this is a prayer for your siblings, right? So it's like your date, whatever your prayer request is, whatever scripture it is, and then when you get the answer, when you see that thing happen in your life. So that's one area of it. This is your weekly, I don't know if y'all can see that, but this is your weekly prayer. So you can write down the things that you're just believing God for, that week, what things you're going to be praying for each day. Because if you're not intentional, you'll be like, okay, what do I need to pray for today? But if you've already identified, Monday, I'm praying for my finances. Tuesday, I'm praying for my business. Wednesday, I'm praying for my family. Thursday, I'm praying for this nation. Friday, and so when you go into your quiet time, you already know those things that you want to cover, so it's just to help people strengthen that area of their life.
That's so good. That's so good. So tell us about the date for the conference.
Yes! The conference is September 5th through the 7th, 2019 in Huntsville, Alabama. It's a little bit later this year, and I'm so excited about this year's conference. So you want to be there. We're getting ready to open up registration soon. We've been doing like some photo shoots and stuff for the theme. Like I was getting ready to tell y'all theme, and we haven't even released it yet. So just stay tuned. Go follow us. It's going to be so what I love about what you get when you are a visionary, there are no limits to what you can do. God gives you permission to just be audacious and to borderline be rude and you can just create and create your own lane. And so I strive to do that, like with what God has given me. And it's so liberating, when you get to create your own rules and tell different stories. And so I'm super, super excited about us continuing to do that with this year's conference. And I love creating experiences for people. Like I love creating experiences. And so that's what we get to do. This is our 7th conference. This is our 7th year doing this conference. And I'm excited, like as if it's our first one. So.
Let me give y'all a recap because I done wrote down so much stuff. Number one, your life is a solution to something in the world. Manage your expectations in your single season well. Put in the work to become the woman you've been called to be, not just for your relationships, but for your destiny. Give language to what is important to you. Do a better job at loving yourself. Your identity is fixed. It is not what is wrong with you. Manage where you are right now. Don't go into another year recycling your goals. Prayer is your secret sauce, and God will give you permission to be audacious.
Yes.
A word
to be audacious.
Yes. That's right. That's so good. So I'm asking you some rapid soul questions real quick and just answer the first thing that comes to your mind.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Name somebody that you think is really funny.
Myself. Like when I'm speaking, I tell jokes when I'm speaking, and if the audience is not laughing like hard enough, I say, y'all know that's funny. Yeah, y'all need to laugh hard. So I think I'm funny.
That is so funny. What is the last song you listened to?
Oh, probably Lil Nas. Oh, I'm gonna take that on the upside road. Yeah, I like that song. I'm gonna actually use it for one of our promo videos. So,
So that's probably why it's been playing in your head.
I want to be culturally relevant, you know.
Right. What dessert can't you live without?
What you say?
What dessert can't you live without?
I'm not a really big dessert person, but I love smoothies. Like it's $5 Friday at Smoothie King. So when I leave this call, I'm gonna go get a smoothie. So I love fruit. I love strawberries, and I love smoothies.
Okay.
Strawberry sundaes are good too. I really like strawberries.
Okay. So what trait do you like the most about yourself?
My personality. Yeah.
What is one product that you must use every day, besides a phone or a laptop? It could be any type of product.
Oh gosh, let's see. My journal
Okay.
and my cocoa butter. Like I got this natural like cocoa butter from my skin that I get made. Like this girl makes it locally in Huntsville. Yeah, that's some good stuff.
If you could go to dinner with anyone, who would it be?
I would want to go to dinner with Oprah. I'll say Oprah.
Okay. What book do you believe everyone should read next to the Bible? Besides this?
Oh gosh, let's see. That's a good question. I read a lot of books. Oh, there's this book called oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. I should have looked this up before. It is called, I can't think of it. It's about identity. I think it's a really, really powerful book that everybody should read. I'll give it to you. You can put it in the notes later. But yeah, it's a book about identity. I think it's like really, really good.
Okay. Perfect. And what are you looking to do next? How can we support you? Come to the conference? How can the community support you?
You guys can come to the conference. Again, it's September 5th through the 7th in Huntsville, Alabama. You can go to www.savingthecityconference.com. I'm going to be doing a lot of more promoting for my prayer journal, so you can look for that. I also have another like devotional I've been sitting on for a long time. So I'm going to work to get that out before the end of the year. I'm really, really passionate about helping people who like want to develop a relationship with God, but they don't know where to start. I feel like it can be so intimidating. Like the Bible for me was very, very intimidating. So I want to create resources to help people just develop quiet time and develop just reflection time and stuff like that. So I'm going to be working to finish that before the end of the year. So stay tuned for that. So I try to get that out as well, just to help people.
I love it. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all love this show. So make sure you all rate it 5 stars and leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought about it, what you learned, maybe some nuggets that hit home for you. Let us know what that was for you. Brittany, thank you so much for coming on the Soulkation Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it with you.
Oh, thank you. Also, make sure you all subscribe to the Soulkation Podcast and share this episode with your best friend. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Have a good one.